Hey everybody, my next guests are from Toyota. So we got George and Eric Mendoza, and they really don't need any introduction. They're kind of out there in the industry, shaking things up and keeping things exciting for everybody. So you guys have probably seen now, Eric unfortunately was having some interweb problems, as they say up here in Canada. So we've got George and Eric's on the phone line. So thanks for joining me, guys.
Oh, we're happy to be here.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us, Ryan.
So I think really the question that is in everybody's mind at really this point in time is how are you guys handling the COVID outbreak, the COVID-19 outbreak? What is your early stage plans, your midterm plans, long-term plans? But most importantly, a lot of people are like, oof, what about the supply chain? What about parts for the future? So let's talk about the early stages. What are you guys doing internally, and what are the early impacts of the coronavirus for you guys?
So Ryan, first of all, this is unprecedented times in the industry, and I've been with Toyota 31 years, and in the industry over 40, and I cannot quite find anything similar to this. So we're learning as we go along. And every time you think you have a good plan, the factors change. Right. And the good news is about Toyota, we're constantly improving, and we're pretty good at taking change. We're all about the customer, so everything we can do is to help our customers, being the end user, the shops, the dealers, everybody in the entire environment.
What I'd like to add to what George said is, first I'd like to echo that because this is an unprecedented time in the industry, things really are changing by the minute. So anything that I tell you now may change an hour from now. Yesterday, to answer your question on what we're doing in the immediate future here in headquarters, yesterday we started the day with a split schedule. We decided that to support social distancing, that half of our department would work from home and the other half would work in the office, and then we would switch in 2 weeks and go on 2-week increments. And by the end of the day, at 6 o'clock at night, after everyone had left the office, most people had left the office for the day, we get an email saying, nope, 100% of people are now working from home. Right. So here in headquarters, that's what we're doing in the immediate future. But the thing that impacts the folks that are in the audience here, the shops that are listening to this podcast, are the part supply stuff. And the good news that we have to report right now is that Toyota has committed to keep all business critical functions. And as of now, being part supply being a business critical function, everything is online, everything is up and running, and as of now, we have no anticipated delays on part supply. Again, bear in mind that could change an hour from now, and if it does, we'll be here for the next podcast to share the update with you.
I think that's very helpful, Eric. Thanks for sharing that piece about it, because I think that's where everybody's mind's at. We've even had people ask us about, what about things where the parts themselves are coming from overseas? Would there be any contamination there? Has Toyota taken any thoughts about that piece of it?
So, hey Ryan, a couple of things that I'll say about this. First of all, we learned a great lesson when we had the tsunami in 2011 in Japan. Yep. And that was a earth-shattering for Toyota and really the industry in general, because what happened is literally, metal flake paint. There was one supplier in the world that made the metal flakes, and not only did that plant go away, but the plans, the machine tools, the design, everything from that plant was wiped off the face of the earth in 30 seconds. And it wasn't just a Toyota problem. It was there were no more metal flakes to go into paint. And so that was a real eye opener for Toyota, that we needed to have backup suppliers, and obviously in these days have plans in the cloud and recovery plans. So we are very well prepared for this compared to maybe what we would have been a few years ago. The second thing being Toyota, almost all of our collision parts are North American or Japanese based. So very few of them are, coming from places that may have a problem.
Right.
And we've had no issues with that at all. And particularly on the collision side of parts, we're looking pretty good.
Excellent. Yeah, because there's been some talk about aftermarket parts having a bit of some challenges, of course, because they're coming out of some highly infected areas. So I think that's comforting for the shops that are utilizing your OEM parts to know that you guys are taking those precautionary measures. And I think really a comforting thing for a lot of shops is to know that you guys came through a tsunami, you came out the other side stronger. And I think a lot of shops can take a lesson from that. This is an opportunity to come through the pandemic stronger. And I'm assuming you guys will have some lessons from this whole thing that you'll take away and become stronger again. So that's helpful. Eric, what do you think on that piece of it
I agree with everything that you all said.
there? Okay, good. That was profound. Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to know?
That's right. So don't sneeze into the phone. Anyway, yeah, I think so in the long term, now one of the things that we've started to see, and again, this is a dynamic, changing situation by the hour. What are you anticipating? Obviously the dealers, some of them are shutting down. So what do you anticipate there, and what can the shops expect? You might not have a supply chain problem upstream, but if the dealers are shutting down, what can shops expect from that perspective? Is there a bypass? Is there still a way to secure parts from other areas? And I know I'm asking some really tough questions here, but I thought I'd ask.
No, in fact, I just got out of a conversation with my boss because one of the big MSOs called me and informed me that they had their first, dealership that was closed that supplied them parts. And while we knew that particularly in the San Francisco and, upper California area, Northern California area, there are more and more dealerships that are closing. And there's not much you can do about the dealership when they close. And then we have an issue with obviously saying, here's the list of people that are closed, because that's almost like saying, well, you can go find them somewhere else. So I don't think we're going to be coaching anybody as to who's open and who's closed. One phone call will pretty much answer that, though. And all Toyota dealers can sell all Toyota parts.
Right.
But, I think in this is a case, you have to do what you have to do because, but I can't imagine that if in one area, if they start closing down, that the other ones aren't going to be affected too. And I would doubt that you're going to be looking at shipping collision parts cross country. That's not normally a good way to do that business.
Sure.
Hey, George, that said, I think that we probably owe a little bit of research on this, because we know that there are big dealers, think of Ron Tonkin as an example, that does drive quite a few states over. And if there's a particular area that's affected that's served by another wholesale dealer in some way, shape, or form, we probably need to research this internally and see if there's a solution that we can offer to those, unless you've done so already. And
I've been informed that
this is everything.
I've been informed that's not our role.
Gotcha. Well,
that's interesting.
I think, like we said, we're in unprecedented times, and whatever help we can offer to the downstream, repairers is really kind of the purpose of this call. But so as far as it goes, guys, a message that you would like to share with the repairers, with the downstream, even the dealers are going to be watching this, everything from the mega dealers to the mom and pop shops. What kind of messages would you like them? Is there any precautionary things that you would like them to do? Is there any actions that you would like of them, or things that you feel would be helpful in this current situation?
No, I would just say that the main focus is the customer. And I would say the secondary focus is the shop employees and team members. And I would say if there's any question at all about risk or no risk, and I would go for the no risk all day long. And this too shall pass.
Yeah.
We don't need anybody getting hurt. We don't need anybody getting sick. And we certainly don't want to lose a shop member because we were foolish and stayed open one day too long, 1 hour too long. I think this is a case where safety and, we all going to try to struggle through and find a way to keep the businesses viable and take care of the customer. But at the end of the day, we got to follow what the government says and be safe.
Makes sense. Eric?
So, I agree with everything you said. I'm just kidding. Ryan, I think that we owe this a little bit more research. I mean, we haven't thought through, hey, what happened here? I do agree with everything that George has said. However, and I think that's why you're doing these kind of phone calls right now. Gosh, we've got to come together right now probably and think about what are the solutions. For example, if parts aren't coming for cars that need to be fixed, what are the insurance companies doing as far as paying out extra rental days? What are the rental car companies doing as far as allowing customers to stay in rental cars and having enough rental cars to supply customers with if a shop can't get their vehicle fixed due to alternative parts or OE parts? So hopefully you're having those kind of calls with those people, and this conversation is making me realize that we need to be making those phone calls and trying to have a better answer for you too.
I think that's a very good perspective, Eric. We are trying to get everybody in the ecosystem, the rental car companies. I'll follow with George Avery here in a few minutes, but we're trying from State Farm, so we're trying to get everybody inside of the ecosystem to offer their perspective. There's the old saying that in a multitude of counselors, there's safety. And that's really what we're looking for the shops involved in the system here, is to find that safety, to find that assurity that, they can weather the storm and that they're not alone. They're not an island, right? Everybody right now is being isolated. So we want them to know that, everybody in the ecosystem cares about them. They're doing their level best to keep supplying parts, to keep the doors open. And what we know is talking with the economic guys and a lot of the behavioral scientists, they're telling us that what we can expect is people are quarantining themselves to their homes. They're not driving as much, so accident frequency will drop. That means that a claim is going to drop. That means that repair volume is going to drop. There'll be the trickle-down effect. And so we're trying to help shops, weather that part of the storm, the financial side of it as well. Is there any thoughts, guys, from a financial side of it for the shops that are watching this? Any advice that Toyota has that might be helpful in that arena?
Pray for hail.
Right? Thank goodness we're coming into hail season. So, yeah.
No, I don't really have I think the same thing. I think it's going to be one customer at a time, one car at a time, one situation at a time. And this thing is so crazy that I know we'll all end up stronger when we're done. And our boss yesterday said, we hate to see this type of stuff when it comes down, but this is what Toyota's made for. We're set up to handle adversity, and our whole system is set up to constantly improve and to look for different ways to do things. And I think the shops have to do the same thing. I think they have to look for new sources of revenue when that becomes necessary. As we both know, just working the income lot at the service drive, there's lots of cars out there that need work,
Yeah.
And maybe this is the time to go attack some of that business. That, but once they get back on the road, I think it'll be gangbusters. The fourth quarter is going to be unbelievable. Now, whether that's enough to make up for what it's going to take to get to the fourth quarter, I don't know. It's a challenging time, but I would say take it one customer at a time, and look to be creative.
So forgive me for asking so many hard questions. This one's an interesting one. One of the things we know is there's a lot of people with economical concerns. They're looking at their jobs. Airlines are laying off. Hotels are shutting down. A lot of people are afraid for their financial well-being. Now, it's nice that the collision industry has a little bit of an insulator that the insurance company pays the lion's share of the bill. But there is deductibles. Is there anything that Toyota has, Toyota financing, or anything that the financing arm could come into play to help your certified shops with financing deductibles or doing creative stuff to help people spread the cost of a deductible? Have you, and again, I know I'm asking this out of the blue with no preparation, but I thought I'd ask the question.
So I think that's some great ideas, and you told me somebody I need to go call is my people.
That's right.
And
I'd like to segue that comment, Ryan, into, would you please send us a list of these questions that I want the ones especially that you're getting from the shops. So if you're not hearing these kinds of questions and concerns from the shop, please filter those out. Yep. But the questions that you're getting from the shops, would you please send those to us so that we can make sure that we reach out and try and get some answers and follow back up with you?
Yep, absolutely. And I think what we'll do is we are in contact with hundreds of shops daily right now. And there's a big mad rush to try and get this figured out and what's our plan for the future. So, it's a changing situation. So I will keep you guys apprised. And this is one of the things I've always valued about the Toyota team is you want to be able to help the people on the street, and you're very quick to respond. So I applaud all of you, Eric and George and the rest of the team for being in that position and in wanting to, help in whatever capacity you can. And I think that's that's what the shops need on the ground floor right now. So that's great.
So one thing I would like to add, Ryan, is now is not the time to think you can stockpile parts. That doesn't work for anybody.
Right.
We're not allowing the dealers to do it. I don't know how you would even think about doing it with a collision, because you need one part, one particular car. But we've made sure that our parts are in our depot where they're supposed to be, and they will get distributed to the car as they're needed. So even if we do run into a situation where things get a little tight, we're pretty good at spreading the inventory to the right car at the right time.
That's good. That'll be helpful because, I guess if you wanted, you could put a promotion on where we'll include a roll of toilet paper with every part purchased. So, we don't need a toilet paper situation with parts going on. We see this in hailstorms, right? We see this where people are like, wow, we need to order 25, hoods for a Toyota Avalon or whatever the case is. So we have them in stock. So yeah, hopefully that can be mitigated and the right parts get to the right cars. I think that's smart. That's smart. Guys, as kind of a wrap up, final thoughts that you'd like to share with the shops that at this current stage, in the early stages, and we'll probably do a follow up to this. I'll prep you some other questions that shops are having, and then we'll do another call in a week or so to keep everybody apprised of what's going on. But tell me what other things that you would message that you'd like to share with the body shops at this time.
So just personally, I would hope everybody to be safe. I want you to take care of your families first. The business will come. The business is going to be there. The neat thing about the collisions, when they have a collision, regardless of the time it takes to fix it, we will fix it. So, I would, say take care of your families first, your business second, and take care of yourself from a health standpoint, and don't put yourself at risk. Business will come. Don't worry about it. It's going to be there. Particularly blessed to be in the collision business, where there is significant profits and opportunities. And from Toyota's standpoint, we'll be here to be behind you and to support you the best that we can.
Excellent. Thank you for that, George. Eric, some parting thoughts?
Our sympathy goes out to everybody that's listening, that's for all the challenges that you're going through, both personally and business related. Everything that George has said, we will do our best to be here for you, and I want to encourage you to be creative and try and problem solve your way through, look for answers, look for solutions, and share those with the others that are going through the same thing in the industry. We really got to come together to figure out how to work through this together, despite the quarantines and the social distancing that we're facing.
Yeah.
Try and stay in touch.
Well, I really appreciate both you guys. I know this is a crazy time, a busy time for figuring out logistics and all the different pieces. I appreciate you taking the time to share this message with the body shops and with all the different people who are going to be seeing this. So guys, a big thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we'll do a follow-up to this with other questions that come out of this. I'll keep you guys apprised of it, and we'll do another one. So thank you so much.
Ryan, we appreciate you doing this for the industry.
Yeah, Ryan, kudos to you for getting out there and doing this. This is exactly the kind of activity that I was referencing. It's a good job. Thank you.